Here with Washington State women's basketball head coach Kamie Ethridge. Coach, your team returns to Beasley Coliseum this week. You host San Francisco Thursday at noon. Just kind of opening statement, how you guys are preparing for San Francisco and how good does it feel to finally be back home?
Well, we tried to prepare the last couple of days by getting a little bit of rest. The trip was somewhat exhausting, but at the same time, you got to get back in it. You got to fix some of the things that maybe went wrong for us, and watch film and see some things that we can clean up and hope to improve on. And it's great. It's great to be back to Beasley, and I hate that it's a noon game. I mean, we did that just as San Francisco really needed that based on their scheduling, and it's not the most convenient again for our fans, but clearly it's hard to get home games sometimes, and we had to make that accommodation, but we're excited to be back in front of our fans.
Jamie Vinnick with Coug Fan. Go ahead, Jamie.
Hey, Coach. How's it going?
Good, Jamie.
So obviously the first part of the Bahamas trip went well, a good win against Miami. Second trip, maybe a bit of a wake-up call in sense of how good NC State is. But at the same time, I think as we've talked about in the past, that's the type of stuff that prepares you for Pac-12 play. So was there something they did that made you kind of realize, okay, we have to adjust this before we get into the Stanfords of the world and the Oregons and so on?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there's so many things that I thought went wrong for us, and then a lot of really good things. I mean, quite frankly, we guarded them so well, and one player that they added to their team scored 23 points or 24 points, and I don't think anyone else was in double figures. She was just a game changer. Their guard or coming off the bench, but clearly maybe one of their key players on their team. So I was really happy with our defensive effort and holding them to 60 something, and probably by the end we gave up a lot of baskets that just because we were pretty emotionally out of it at that point. But for us, it's a great wake-up call. I think that's a great way to speak it. I think it's still early in the season, and we're still trying to figure out, okay, teams are doing this to us. This is what we need to do to counter that. A few games ago, people were downing us or icing our wing ball screens, and we weren't quite ready for that. And North Carolina State just really scouted us great. They went under a lot of screens. They challenged us to make threes, and not that we didn't shoot it well, but we didn't move the ball well based on the fact that they let us pass it. I mean, it wasn't super. We couldn't make passes. We could move the ball. We just chose to try to out dribble them and we forced and just predetermined, I think, sometimes trying to create things in the wrong way. So a lot of that is just watching film and seeing what happens if, like, why not let the ball move here to here to here instead of us trying to dribble it there. And so I think it's been really good for us. I think that's going to be a recipe that we have to master. Like, I think people will guard us that way again. And again, that is exactly why we want to play these games in the preseason. I think it was just the opposite of Miami. Miami pressured us all over the court, and that bothered us. We had some turnovers, and that's good for us because people are going to pressure us. And then North Carolina State does something completely different. So that's why you got to be really flexible and versatile and be able to adjust based on what teams are doing to you in that given moment. And I don't think we did that very well against North Carolina State.
And then you got Oola back for that second game. How does that kind of affect the starting five? With Tara playing so well, and obviously you have your other four kind of set in with how well they're playing. How do you kind of manage that by still getting Tara minutes, but also wanting to go with your best five?
Right. I mean, I don't think Oola practiced the day before and then the shoot around and was not quite herself and is still kind of getting back. Obviously, we need her to get back. We need her presence on the floor. We need the depth. I'm not afraid of the fact that we kind of have 6 starters. I mean, that doesn't bother me at all because we don't have enough depth in the post position in particular. But I think that whole thing, even losing Oola when we did, kind of affected us too, and how we executed. I think we lost a little bit of execution because we were moving people around. And so that's been a real emphasis for us these last couple of days, is just you know, we've got to be so good at execution because we can't, you know, we're not going to be the best athletes on the court a lot of times, or we're not going to be the longest athletes. So we've really got to execute and screen better than we did against North Carolina State. And those are things that I think, you know, Oola is great at, and we miss that, and we just got to get her back in rhythm. And again, I'm not worried about minutes for those 6 players. We need them to play a lot, and, you know, who starts and all of that stuff will play itself out. There's no problem with that.
Great. Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Coach, your team plays its first home game in almost about 15 plus days or so, probably a little bit longer than that. You guys had your first 3-game road trip of the season here this past week. You went 2-1. So how exciting is the team to be back in Beasley, and just how good is it for you guys to have a game here at home before you go hit another long stretch on the road?
Right. It seems like we've got a lot of stretches on the road. You know, again, I think our kids are they're happy to be home. It was a great destination trip to go to the Bahamas and to participate in that, and to see the bigness of the competition that was there, and opponents that, you know, are going to be in the NCAA tournament. That was a really neat and cool environment. But I think we should also just switch gears too. So that's over. We're whatever we are. We've got 1 loss, 4-1, I think, right?
Yep.
And now the challenge is, you know, we've got to get better. I think people exposed us a little bit in some ways, and we're going to see that again in these upcoming games. We've got some great teams coming in, dangerous teams coming in, and we're already kind of locked into, you know, scouting the other opponents that we're playing, but also more dialed into us and trying to fix who we are and what we're going to be, and consistently how we can get better. And I really have loved our team and their attitude and their spirit, and then coming back into the gym and getting in there early and staying late to get extra shots. I mean, again, this is a really motivated team, and I think they feel like they really let Coug Nation down and let our program down. And I think we all felt really pretty horrible after that North Carolina State game, but I think we're excited to get the opportunity to show that we're a little bit better of a team than we showed that last time out. And you know, the next game up is San Francisco, and we've got to be really on it to be good. And again, excited to be back in front of our fans, even if it's a noon game. Let's see what happens at noon tomorrow.
And talk a little bit just about coming out of the NC State game. It's been a few days now. You guys have been able to look at the film a little bit more. What are some things that you know, without giving away too much strategy, what are some things that you saw there, and just some things that you're going to take out of that game to help the program get better moving forward?
Well, I mean, it just shows you that that's why the game is hard. You have to adjust to what teams are doing. And, you know, the good news is I think we held one of the best offensive teams in the country to, you know, 60 something points. And quite frankly, one player really hurt us. So that side of the ball, you know, we can take a lot from and be encouraged by. Clearly not scoring the basketball and scoring it so poorly is a real concern. And they went under a lot of screens. They were a little bit soft and cushioned us a little bit and dared us to shoot. And, you know, we just kind of took the bait sometimes and shot early in the clock without moving the ball. We over penetrated, you know, and honestly, the ball in passing moves a lot faster than it does trying to drive it all the time. And I just think we've got to get back to trusting, you know, our spacing and our offense and good ball movement. And, you know, I think we'll make better shots. I think we'll make a lot more shots if we get better ball movement. So nothing that anyone else in the country, they're doing the same thing. They're working on the exact same things that we are. But I think we've gotten the players' attention. I think they see some of the mistakes that we made, and I think they know that those are fixable mistakes for us.
All right, Coach, we appreciate your time. Good luck tomorrow against San Francisco. We'll talk to you after the game, and go Cougs.
Thanks so much. Go Cougs.